Antiochus Epiphanes is very generally looked upon as the dog of the prophet Ezekiel. This honor is, however, more properly attributable to Cambyses, the son of Cyrus. And indeed, the character of the Syrian monarch does by no means stand in need of any adventitious embellishment. His accession to the throne, or rather his usurpation of the sovereignty, 171 years before the coming of Christ. His attempt to plunder the temple of Diana at Ephesus. His implacable hostility to the Jews, his pollution of the Holy of Holies, and his miserable death at Taba, after a tumultuous reign of 11 years, are circumstances of a prominent kind, and therefore more generally noticed by the historians of his time than the impious, dastardly, cruel, silly, and whimsical achievements which make up the sum total of his private life and reputation. Let us suppose, gentle reader, or listener, that it is now the year of the world 3830. And let us for a few minutes imagine ourselves at that most grotesque habitation of man, the remarkable city of Antioch. To be sure, there were in Syria and other countries 16 cities of that appellation, besides the one to which I more particularly allude. But ours is that which went by the name of Antiocha Apidaphne, from its vicinity to the little village of Daphne, where there stood a temple to that divinity. It was built, although about this matter there is some dispute, by Seleucus Nicander, the first king of the country, after Alexander the Great, in memory of his father Antiochus, and became immediately the residence of the Syrian monarchy. In the flourishing times of the Roman Empire, it was the ordinary station of the prefect of the eastern provinces, and many of the emperors of the Queen City, among whom may be mentioned, especially Varus and Valens, spent here the greater part of their time. But I perceive we have arrived at the city itself. Let us ascend this battlement and throw our eyes upon the town and neighboring country. What broad and rapid river is that which forces its way with innumerable falls through the mountainous wilderness, and finally through the wilderness of buildings? That is the Orontes, and it is the only water in sight with the exception of the Mediterranean, which stretches like a broad mirror about 12 miles off to the southward. Everyone has seen the Mediterranean, but let me tell you, there are a few who have had a peep at the Antioch. By few, I mean few who, like me and you, have had at the same time the advantages of a modern education. Therefore, cease to regard that sea, and give your full attention to the mass of houses that lie beneath us. You remember it is now the year of the world 3830. Were it later, for example, We're at the year of our Lord, 1845. We should be deprived of this extraordinary spectacle. In the 19th century, Antioch is, that is to say, Antioch will be, in a lamentable state of decay. It will have been, by that time, totally destroyed at 3 different periods by 3 successive earthquakes. Indeed, to say the truth, what little of its former self may then remain will be found in so desolate and ruinous a state that the patriarch shall have removed his residence to Damascus. This is well. I see you profit by my advice, and you are making most of your time in inspecting the premises, in satisfying your eyes with the memorials and things of fame that most renown this city. I beg pardon, I have forgotten that Shakespeare will not flourish for 1750 years to come. But does not the appearance of Aberdaphne justify me in calling it the grotesque? It is well fortified, and in this respect it is much indebted to nature as to art. Very true. There are a prodigious number of stately palaces. There are. And the numerous temples, sumptuous and magnificent, may bear comparison with the most lauded of antiquity. All this I must acknowledge. There is an infinity of mud huts and abominable hovels. We cannot help perceiving abundance of filth in every kennel, and were it not for the overpowering fumes of idolatrous incense, I have no doubt we should have find a most intolerable stench. Did you ever behold streets so insufferably narrow, or houses so miraculously tall? What a gloom their shadows cast upon the ground. It is well the swinging lamps in those endless colonnades are kept burning throughout the day. We should otherwise have the darkness of Egypt in their time of desolation. It is certainly a strange place. What is the meaning of yonder singular building? See, it towers above all others and lies to the eastward of what I take to be the royal palace. That is a new temple of the sun. It was adored in Syria under the title of Allan. Hereafter, a very notorious Roman emperor will institute this worship in Rome, and thence derive a cognomen, Heliogabalus. Heliogabalus. I dare say you would like to take a peep in the divinity of the temple. You need not look up at the heavens. His sonship is not there, at least not the sonship adored by the Syrians. That deity is in the interior of yonder building. He is worshipped under the figure of a large stone pillar terminating at the summit in a cone or pyramid, whereby is denoted fire. Hark, behold, who can these ridiculous beings be half naked with their faces painted, shouting and gesticulating to the rabble? Some few are mountebanks, others are more particularly belong to the race of philosophers. The greatest portion, however, are those especially who belabor the populace with clubs, are the principal courtiers of the palace, executing, in duty bound, some laudable comicality of the kings. What have we here? Heavens, the town is swarming with wild beasts. How terrible a spectacle, how dangerous a peculiarity. Terrible if you please, but not in the least degree dangerous. Each animal, if you will take the pains to observe, is following very quietly in the wake of its master. Some few, to be sure, are led with a rope about the neck, but these are chiefly the lesser or timid species. The lion, the tiger, and the leopard are entirely without restraint. They have been trained without difficulty to their present profession, and attend upon their respective owners in the capacity of valet de chambre. It is true there are occasions when nature asserts her violated dominion, but then in the devouring of a man at arms, or the throttling of a consecrated bull, it is a circumstance of too little moment to be more than hinted at in Epidaphne. But what extraordinary tumult do I hear? Surely this is a loud noise even for Antioch. It argues more commotion of unusual interest. Yes, undoubtedly. The king has ordered some novel spectacle, some gladiatorial exhibition at the Hippodrome, or perhaps the massacre of Scythian prisoners, or the conflagration of his new palace, or of a tearing down of a handsome temple, or indeed the bonfire of a few Jews. The uproar increases. Shouts of laughter ascend the skies. The air becomes dissonant with wind instruments, and horrible with the clamor of a million throats. Let us descend for the flow of fun and see what is going on. This way, be careful. Here we are in the principal street, which is called the Street of Timarchus. The sea of people coming this way. We shall find a difficulty in stemming the palace. Stemming the tide, they are pouring from the alleys of Heraclides, which leads directly from the palace. Therefore, the king is probably among the rioters. Yes, I hear the shouts of the herald proclaiming his approach in the pompous phraseology of the East. We shall have a glimpse of his person as he passes by the temple of Ashima. Let us ensconce ourselves in the vestibule of the sanctuary. He will be here anon. In the meantime, let us survey this image. What is it? Oh, it is the god Ashima in proper person. You perceive, however, that he's neither a lamb, nor a goat, nor a satyr, neither has he much resemblance to the Pan of Arcadians. Yet all these appearances have been given, I beg pardon, will be given by the learned of future ages to the Ashima of Syrians. Put on your spectacles, tell me what it is. What is it? Bless me, it is an ape. True, a baboon, but by no means the less a deity. His name is a derivation of the Greek simia. And what great fools are antiquarians. But see, what yonder scampers a ragged little urchin. Where's he going? What is he bawling about? What does he say? Oh, he says the king is coming in triumph, that he is dressed in state, and that he's just finished putting to death with his own hand 1,000 chained Israelites prisoners. For this exploit, the ragamuffin is lauding him to the skies. Hark, here comes a troop of similar description. They have made a Latin hymn upon the valor of the king. and are singing as they go. Which may be paraphrased, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. We with one warrior have slain. 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. Sing 1,000 over again. So ho, let us sing. Long life to our king, who knocked over 1,000 so fine. So ho, let us roar. He has given us more red gallons of core than all Syria can furnish of wine.